welcome to GenFriends. I'm your host, Cheri Hudson Passey from Carolina Girl Genealogy, and we're here back with day 9 with this wonderful panel. Laura, you're shaking your head no, so I'm going with you. I don't like you're shaking your head no.
Oh, no, I'm very wonderful.
You are wonderful. That's what I thought when you shake your head no.
We all are.
We have Laura. We have Laura Hedgecock from Treasure Chest of Memories. Hey, Laura.
Hey there.
I'm glad you're here, Laura, whether you don't think you're wonderful or not. You are wonderful. We have Melissa Barker, our archive lady, who writes for a genealogist in the archives blog. Hello, Melissa.
Hello, everybody.
Glad to have you here to talk about day 9, season 12, relative race. We've got Jenny Hawran.
Good job.
From the Like Herding Cats blog. Thank you, Jenny, for being here.
Hi, everyone.
It's so good to have you here. And Eowyn's back tonight. Yay! And y'all know Eowyn from WikiTree. She does a lot of good work for WikiTree. And she's a huge relative race fan, but she's been in school. She's been having a hard time catching up with us. So we're really glad to have you here. So season 12, day 9. I cannot believe we made it to day 9. I can't believe that all the teams made it to day 9. That doesn't happen very often.
That's pretty awesome.
It was amazing. It was amazing. We're going into day 9 with 2 strikes with everybody except for Team Red. So I mean, there's still that chance, right, that everybody could get to day 10.
Team Red could get an X, and they would all go to day 10.
They would all go. Exactly. And I don't think that's ever.
I think Red
happened.
should take one for the team. Just saying.
Yeah.
When we get to these last couple of days, it gets really interesting. And so, especially, I don't know, someone who would know statistics that can go back and find out when was the last time, or if we had all 4 teams on day 9, because I don't think we have.
I don't think we ever have.
If we have, it's been a long time ago. I can't remember it. I can't remember it. Yeah, we need somebody. We need somebody to throw out some statistics for us somewhere. So, yeah, that would be really interesting to know. And of course, we have because Team Black won on day 8. They got the benefit. And they didn't know what the benefit is. And so we'll have to tell you what that benefit is when we get to. It was the fan. It was the fan. The fans came up with a benefit. And once we talk about that in a minute, I'm going to go, what were we thinking? But it was kind of fun. So anyway.
I approved.
You approved? Yeah, I thought it was kind of fun. So before they even got their first text telling them where they were going, we had another reunion. We had a sobbing, starting to cry at the beginning reunion. Yes. Who wants to jump on that one?
Well, it was Team Blue.
Yeah.
And they were, and he was at his, where was he? At his sister's.
Mitchell was at his sister's house. Remember, we said, how on earth is he going to leave?
Yes, right. And his other 2 sisters came in to meet her.
Yeah, they knocked on the door. Yeah.
And if I remember the story correctly, him and those 2 sisters were adopted out together and torn away from this sister and their mother. And so this sister that he had just met had not seen the other 2 sisters. So
she went with her biological dad.
Yes.
And that wasn't an option for the others.
Right. And so all those years they had wondered, where if they'd ever see each other again. And that whole sobbing on the floor.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
And he said this is how it ended, because they were in that courtroom sobbing on the floor, not wanting to leave each other. So
yes. Yeah, Laura.
What I loved was, so the phone rang and Kanisha looked at it and she's like, there's someone that wants to see us. And then when the sisters came in, she was the closest.
Yeah.
And you could see, even as a sister-in-law, you could see
Yeah.
the joy in her face when she saw her sisters-in-laws.
Yeah.
That was just the icing for me, that it was just so much joy all around.
Mhm.
And,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just, I mean, it was just joy and the sobbing because they were so joyful. I mean, who could watch that beginning and not cry? I couldn't.
No, I'm sobbing.
Exactly. Big old fat ugly cry.
Yeah. And I just don't think they could have they just couldn't stand on their legs, because I think their legs just gave way with emotion.
Sure.
Yeah.
luckily, I've never had to go through something like that. I mean, I
That
can
type of
imagine just the relief after all those years of
Yeah.
being reunited. I thought it was beautiful. And I was so happy that they didn't make that wait till the end of the show.
Yeah, I thought that was beautiful that they did that. Absolutely beautiful. As they left and got their text to say where they were going, some of them got some really good information from their Team Green's sister. She said, "Hey, I know exactly where that is, and I can point you the way on the map." So that was great. So they were able to get some good directions. But unfortunately, Team Blue.
That wasn't Mitchell's decision.
That wasn't.
Because I don't think he was given those directions. I think he just decided, hey, because he's looking at
That's
the
what
map,
I'm
he says,
saying.
this
Yeah.
looks faster. And
Right.
and how many of us, that
Right.
have spouses or boyfriends or
Yes.
partners, can relate to one or the other says, oh, I think this is the best. The other one says, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yes,
And
but
in
in
the end-
the history of Relative Race, if you know Relative Race and you watch Relative Race, a couple of seasons ago, Eowyn, they were in Santa Fe trying to get back to, remember? And they
Yeah.
took the alternate route and
I was like, don't
we
do
were
it.
no, we've lived there. No, that's not how you get back fast. So never take the alternate route. The freeway.
Unless you have a relative telling you in advance that it works well.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. That would be the only way. Because the minute they started talking like that, I thought, oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go. That's going to be the problem.
But I will say that this season, I could be wrong, but I think this season was really the most successful when it came to them asking others for directions, such as someone in a gas station, and any of those kind of pizza delivery place.
Delivery place.
They were more successful this season than they have been in the past.
Yeah, it seems like people knew in small towns too. They could help them find where they were going.
Do you think that's what it is? Small towns?
Maybe.
Oh no, not all of them were small towns. I mean, Oshkosh is not a small town.
Small town, that's true. That's true.
I was even wondering today, like, because there was a delivery driver, we were taking a walk and there was a delivery driver, and that happens how many times a week, and you just flag them down and say, where do you want to go? I'll tell you. And I just wonder if we're all just so used to helping any delivery driver get to where they're going, because that's how they make their income, that just more people are just used to being yelled at. How do I get here?
And I also have noticed too that this season, the contestants have consulted with their family members more before they left.
Much more before they left. Taking that time to look at a map. Absolutely taking that time. And I think that's helped them a lot too. Because a lot of them knew exactly how to get out of town, exactly where they were going, because a lot of times they weren't going that far. Team Black was going back to where they came from. So that wasn't too difficult. Right? Yeah, wasn't too difficult for them. And they pretty much made it to their, and see, they cut it. So we didn't know really if Blue Team had an issue with that alternate route. They didn't let us know. We didn't know. And so the next thing we know, we're at the challenge. We're at the challenge where they're having to shoot tennis balls at each other.
The sticky situation.
Right.
I think that would be so much fun. There's a lot of these challenges that to me are just nothing I would want to do, but I thought this one would be fun.
That looks fun. I agree.
It looked fun, but it looked like it would be expensive for the average family reunion.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. It'd be expensive unless you could figure out a way to do it. Yep. Yep. Because you'd have to get the suits, and those suits were holding those balls. That was a sticky situation. They couldn't get them off because they had to shoot them onto them and then and put them in the thing. But as they got there, they learned what the benefit was to Team Black. What was the benefit? What did they have to do when they were playing the game, when they were doing the challenge? Everybody else had to what?
Yep.
Yep.
When was the last time
My
any of us skipped
darling.
anywhere?
It's really funny though. It was really, really funny, especially they're in those suits. Skip. I thought that was really,
And
really
Mitchell,
funny.
I mean, he's a big man anyway.
Yeah.
So who liked that and who didn't?
I liked it.
I liked it.
I
It was
thought
good.
it was cute. I mean, I don't know that they all did it. I think I wasn't even paying attention if they were skipping all the
Skipping
time.
or
So
not.
I think some of them did the best that they could.
yeah.
Yes. You're the
Because,
best that they could.
you think
I'm
about it, you
thinking,
don't.
how long has it been since I've skipped?
Yeah.
Do I even remember how to skip? You know?
What I liked about it, it was something, but we're at day 9, and you really don't want to give anybody much of an advantage because there were 3 teams with 2 strikes. So I liked it because it in no way made the playing field unlevel.
Exactly.
They just had to skip.
Yeah.
So that was what I liked about it.
Yeah. And the challenge wasn't so hard, so physically hard or mentally hard that it was stressing them out on day 9. So yeah, I think it was a really good one to end the challenges on. I really do. And nobody got frustrated. They were all having a good time. And I know Joe Hinline showed us a picture on Twitter of he and Jerica, because they had a similar thing where they had to shoot at each other. I don't know if you guys remember that for their season. So
Oh yeah.
he posted that. He says the difference is there's no X's on our rear ends for the finish. But I think, if I'm remembering correctly, I think Jerica got hit on that one really hard was it paintballs? I can't remember now what they were shooting, but I think she got smacked right in the face with one of them. One of their challenges, I know she did. I mean, so it might not have been that one, but anyway, he's like, this one's giving me nightmares, and he got a picture of them. So I thought that was really funny. We really just want to talk about who they met, right? That's really what we want to do. Day 9, we want to talk about who they met. Let's start with Team Red, only because theirs is wonderful and sweet, and they have been such a force of strength to all the rest of the teams. You know, there's something about those 2 ladies that they're just special. And they really, like I said, that their prayers and how much they have shown love to the other teams and support. So that let's talk about the last person that they got to meet on day 9, and that was a nephew. Anybody want to take off with that one?
His name was Charles.
Yes.
He was the son of Dana, the sister that she met the day before.
The day before.
And oddly, they were meeting at an elementary school.
Yeah.
And they even said, driving up, they said, what are we going to meet? Who are we going to meet here? And then he told them, which I was very, very thrilled to see what I would consider a young person, because they're younger than me, but a young person talking about history.
Yes. And how much he loves history.
Yes. And he said that the school was named for their great grandfather. Yeah. He was a minister. His name was John Lowry.
Yeah, showed him the pictures.
Showed him the picture.
Was he a minister? I thought they said
he's a doctor.
A doctor, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Doctor, not a minister, doctor. But you know, and he was African American, and so for the time period, you could see the time period for the clothes and the pictures.
Oh, yeah,
that was unusual for African American to be a doctor.
Exactly.
And especially because they were in Louisiana.
Yeah.
So you're in the South on top of that.
Yeah. So, yeah. What a great story to add to everything else, to all the family that she met, all the connections, all the pieces of those puzzles coming together, but to learn that family history, I think, is also so important. And I'm sure she's going to learn more and more and more as they get together and able to talk and show pictures and share more stories. But I thought that was really an important piece for her to know, that that background, that story of who her people were and where she came from. I thought that was really, really it was kind of a nice way to end her story on Relative Race, at least the story that we get to see on Relative Race. Laura?
What I wrote down that I liked was she said that she found out that tenacity was built in her DNA.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we've all had that feeling before.
Yeah.
But I think for her, it was a little bit different because she never knew what was in her DNA.
Right.
You're right, Laura. As we do our genealogy and we run across these ancestors that we can relate to, or they've experienced something that we've experienced, and you're right, she doesn't have that. And so for her to have found that out with this was pretty cool.
Yeah. So she's got some pretty special family to continue getting to know and bond with and love on and spend time with. So I'm excited for her and her journey, and so excited that she was able to come and connect with them and have such a wonderful partner, a wonderful friend to come. And
what a great friend.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was just wonderful that she would come and spend the time. And she was so good at supporting her when she found information that wasn't, pleasant, that was painful. And so just the right person to come with her. I thought that was wonderful.
Yeah, their friendship was really kind of a touching undernote of this season.
Well, you can tell because if you remember from the beginning, that they had been friends, online friends. And I'm looking at all of you. All of you are my online friends.
Yeah, because we've never met in person.
And so, but they must have really been able to develop a friendship before they even met.
Exactly.
And so I think that's neat. And
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. And you know what? I would run Relative Race with any of y'all, especially you, Melissa. I've never met Melissa in person. I've met everybody else in person, but I feel like we'd be friends enough. We could get it done.
We could. We absolutely could.
We'd be good. We'd be good. So yeah, love Team Red. Love Team Red very, very much. And I'm glad that we were able to get to know them and share their story. And learn a lot about family relationships, and as I'm always saying, learn a lot about the adoptive family relationships and the importance and the need to find the answers to those questions.
And I think Giselle has a lot more to learn.
Oh, I do too.
I'm hoping that she gets to come on our reunion show and gets to share some more about that.
Yeah, share some more. And I know, and we've talked about this before, and I know that Eowyn's talked about this before, is some of the stories that we got to, and we'll talk about these as we go through, some of the stories this season and a couple of the other seasons, they're actually showing that sometimes it doesn't work out, Did you want to say anything to that, Eowyn?
No, I think it's really important, and I'm glad that they're doing a little bit more of that, where, the happy endings and happy meetings are great, but it's just not always like that for people. So I think it's good to, for anyone that's thinking about exploring, DNA or biological families, it's important to recognize that it could go a whole lot of different ways.
Exactly.
And you just have to be ready for it, because you can't know until you try, and then it's too late because now it's happened.
You already opened that, you already opened
the door, and you can't really shut it again. So it's a big leap.
Yep, it is. And one of those examples that we had this season was Team Black. It was Callie. She learned early on that her maternal family was not so happy about this journey and were not willing to be part of this journey. And so, that was heartbreaking, but it's a true fact that sometimes these things happen, and that she just knew this whole journey was going to be for Patrick. They're both adopted. And so she says, they don't, I'm not going to have anybody to meet, but I'm going to fully support you on this journey. And then she did get some surprises, and she did get to meet family along the way. And so I thought that was beautiful for those. And she kept saying And I know that Laura brought this up last time, when we talked about day 8, about people are showing up. She was so grateful that people were showing up, and she was able to see pictures, although she wasn't able to share them on camera. She did learn, and she did get some pieces of her puzzle put together by coming on the show. And so
I love
think
everyone who showed up for her.
Anyway.
I want to go and hug them.
Oh, me too. Oh, me too.
And
Me too.
Pat's family just totally embraced her.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was really, really great to see too.
Yes, they really did embrace her. But we did talk a little bit about how, as viewers, when we see that happening, we get upset with that biological family, but we don't know the whole story. We really don't know why, what's behind it. And we don't know. And so
even,
sometimes,
and even so, as I say, we did know why. I think it's just out of respect for individuals.
yes, their choices.
Not all of us can handle things like other people can handle things.
Right.
And so I don't know. I just think that each person has to walk their own journey.
Exactly.
And I think we should respect that.
Yeah, and we need to be careful not to judge,
And then especially
but
so
just
far
be grateful for those that felt like they could do it for her on camera.
On camera. I'm glad you added that, because I mean, I don't know if I could. It's such a private, journey. I even have trouble watching it. Even though I'm an extrovert, I don't know. I have a sense of privacy, and I feel like a little bit of a voyeur sometimes when I'm watching, because I'm like, this is their moment.
Exactly. Well, since we're talking about Team Black, let's go ahead and talk about Patrick and who he met. Who wants to talk about Team Black?
Jenny, you haven't said much.
Yes, I love Team Black so much, and their day was, they said today is for Isaac, so Patrick's son who passed away, and so they just they were just going forward with that message, that that feeling. And they met, Patrick's family are great. I mean, Aunt Patty, that woman, she was what she just was such great energy, and just so embraced him, so just loved him, and we're so blessed to have you too. Like, she included Callie in like everything. Like, it wasn't just I'm talking to you, Patrick. It was like both of you, and it was just so beautiful to see.
I know that they were in Wisconsin, but I have a feeling that she has some roots in the South, because she kept saying hun and sweetie. That's how Southern people talk. And so
she was just so happy to have him in the family, and it was just wonderful. And then I guess he and Callie took a little walk around the neighborhood, and somebody must have told them that they had to get lost for a while, because they had to get a whole slew of people in the backyard,
right?
The producer just said, "Hey, go for a walk for a little bit. We're gonna get some film of you walking."
Yeah, exactly, and just kind of chill out a little bit, and so they could get all that
whole big family reunion. He had, there was more aunts and uncles, and then his sisters, and his dad.
Yeah, they all showed up,
and it was just really a beautiful way to kind of end his journey as well. And they gave him the Isaac Strong jersey.
A Green Bay, but still, it was a really nice gesture.
Yeah. That's
what my husband said. My husband says, "Well, what if he's a fan of a different team?"
Maybe they asked. Maybe they somehow figured it out. Maybe they. I mean, it's relative race. They're doing all that research.
Of course, it would have to be a Green Bay jersey.
I thought it was.
You can't buy a house if you're not a Green Bay fan.
That's right. I just thought it was a really sweet way to end that, because they were saying welcome to the family, and we we will honor Isaac as well. They never met him, but I just thought it was really beautiful.
I did too.
Can I say something that made
Of
me
course.
love Kelly even more? When they were doing the challenge, she falls down and she yells out, "I slipped in goose poo."
Yes,
And that would have been me. And I would have yelled it out. And I was like, it just made me love her so much.
I know. I love
she's
her.
a hoot. I'm telling you.
It really is. I can't wait. I just hope that we can pull this reunion show off and get them all on. So I can't wait to be able to talk to everybody. Let's see, what did we do? We did red. We haven't done green. Let's go to green.
We haven't done green or we haven't
We're
finished
gonna do blue last because I don't know if I can
Yes.
get through blue without crying.
We will. We'll get through it.
We'll get through it. Okay, who wants to jump in there and talk about blue?
Eowyn,
Excuse
do
me,
you want
green.
to?
Green. Andy.
I can. Basically, Andy and Liz got to this house somewhere in Pennsylvania. I didn't write down the name of the town.
It's okay.
Conneaut Lake.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't
And,
sound
Melissa.
like that. No, I write them down. I'm like Laura. I got to make my notes.
Anyway, so you see a gentleman come out of his house,
Yeah.
and he has a walker on the
Yeah,
stoop.
we knew.
but he walks
Everybody
down
knew.
Yeah, so you knew this was John Wayne Berger, or as Andy called him, Johnny Wayne.
Yeah.
And so
I was just glad to see he was using the walker and they didn't have to meet him in the hospital. I was worried this was going to be another dying in the hospital kind of scene. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was so touching because he called him Johnny Wayne, and his father said, "Yeah, I like that." And he says, Andy says, "Well, maybe I should have called you Dad." And the man, he just said, "You can call me anything you want. I'm just glad to see you."
Yeah.
And I thought that was what everybody needs to hear. Nothing's going to be awkward. That it's going to be, a good thing. And he said a couple other things like that. But the interesting thing is Andy got to ask, what's the backstory? How did all this come about?
Yeah.
And we found
needed
out
those answers.
that John was 17 when Andy was born, and he had no rights. And the mother's family was who pushed for adoption. The mother didn't want adoption. And so, all the relatives knew about it, but basically the mom and dad, because they were so young, they didn't have the power to make a decision. So Andy's reaction broke my heart because he said, "I wasn't a total mistake."
Yeah.
They talked about making a life, the three of us. And
Yeah.
But his dad did show him a picture in a yearbook of the way his mother looked at the time of his birth. And he said it was really surreal to try to think of a woman now. What is this? What did he say? 30-something years later?
Yeah.
And what is she now? And seeing her so young, and
But at least he's got a picture. He's got a picture. He's got a name now. And if she was involved in anything else in high school, all he's going to do is look through that yearbook and see what her interests were. And so
I don't even think it's going to have to be that hard. I mean, John Berger said, "I think you'll probably get to meet her before too very long." And he probably has some inside information on that.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
That was a case of that I don't think that she doesn't want anything to do with him. I just don't think she wanted it to be on film.
On TV.
Because Andy even said that, that he got to see his mother in a year, but he says, but didn't want to show the picture on TV stuff. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's understandable. And hopefully by now he's gotten to meet him.
Hopefully by now maybe we can get an update. What I loved about that though was as he's standing there, his dad's standing there, and Lizzie's doing this. He's looking back and forth. She's just taking it all in how much they look like each other. She's
like each other.
Like she was watching a tennis game or something. She just back and forth watching. I thought that was so sweet.
Did you see the physical similarities? Because I wasn't as struck by them.
I thought I could see them. Yeah. And they'd been waiting for so long too. And I think a lot of that was she was looking, that's his dad and that's him. and how much do I see in them? You know, because we waited for so long to be able to have this meeting. So I just thought she was really cute. She kept going back and forth looking at him. So I thought that was really, really sweet. But good ending for his story. Again,
and then there was another reunion.
There was another reunion. Yeah,
that was the theme for this one too.
Yep, and yeah,
the two sisters joined in.
Yeah, exactly. So really, it was a theme for day 9 is family reunions. You know,
yeah.
So I thought that was wonderful. Well, let's talk about Team Blue. Oh my goodness, guys, Team Blue. Now we've already talked about how they got us crying right from the get-go, right from the beginning, as the sisters reunited. So, and they were so funny. Mitchell was so funny. I think he was so pumped up. I think he knew who he was going to go meet. I mean, I think he really.
Well, didn't he or Tanisha say something about that there's really only one person left?
Yeah, unless it was somebody else for Tanisha. And I think she'd gotten her answers. And so that was the last person he wanted to meet, because he was almost like driving, like, okay, I was hurrying, we got to get parked, and there it is, you know. So,
and did you happen to catch that he called her Tiny?
Oh, I didn't.
You didn't in the car? Yeah, he her. It must be a nickname for her. He said called her Tiny a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that. Oh, look at you guys. You're so good. When they went, you know what though, when they got out the door and they cut over to the woman standing there, I was like, oh, of course. I mean, because they'd shown her picture, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like Andy's dad. We'd seen pictures of his dad, and I knew immediately who he was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there she is. But
you know, for some reason, and maybe they were just doing it on purpose, but it didn't seem like Mitchell knew who she was, because he didn't seem to react that way.
Well, and I'm wondering if he didn't want to jump to conclusions.
Well, maybe.
Do you know what I mean? Maybe.
That's what I was thinking, because he did have that delay.
He did.
He did have that delay, just like, okay, I don't want to.
But he didn't want to put his foot in it.
Yeah.
And the way he reacts, we've seen him react now. I would have thought immediately he would have just went, oh, but he didn't. So, but it was a really good reunion.
Yeah. Eowyn, did you want to say something?
I thought she looked just like they'd shown a photo of her in other episodes, and she looked so much like that photo.
Oh, yeah.
Mitchell said, you haven't changed.
Yeah. So I really do think that that's what that was all about. Just maybe a fear of, because he kept saying it was so surreal.
Yeah.
And so maybe he didn't want to say, oh my gosh, Mom, because maybe it would have been, no, I'm your mom's sister. I just look a lot like her. Do you know what I mean?
You know what? We could be over analyzing. It could have also been a retake.
Yeah.
And he was just waiting for the producer to say.
We don't want to spoil we don't want to spoil the editing secrets, right? Anyway, but yeah, it could have been that too. But the way he grabbed on, and the way he grabbed on to his sisters, the way he just, that whole, I mean, it was just
so real.
It's so real. I mean, his tears and his sobbing and his joy and his all of that, to actually find them again. It was just beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. Jenny, were you going to say something?
Yeah, it was just, you were like right there with him, you know.
Oh,
you just felt like such,
you could feel
it, like you've done it, you know. You've met all, you know, the people that that you needed to you know. And his mother was saying, you're so handsome, and she was excited to learn she had grandchildren, you know, by him. And it was beautiful, so beautiful.
It was beautiful, but it didn't end there. Because once again, but wait.
Before that, though, you know, he had an opportunity to ask her some very pointed questions.
That's true. You're right, Melissa. Go ahead.
You know, and I really applauded his mother, Maria, because of her honesty and, you know, and I guess kind of facing the music kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, and she told why she lost her kids. And it was her fault. And and even Mitchell said, you know, I respect that. That's,
Yeah.
you know, I
Yeah.
can, you know, that's the past now. We can move forward. And he
Yeah.
really needed that.
Yeah. I think it's better to tell the truth, you know, for her to
Yes.
say, I went back to the drugs. The drugs
Yeah.
got to me and I went back to the drugs because that's what happens a lot of times. But then a lot of times you don't get the honesty and you get, oh, they just took you away for no reason
Right.
and, you know, that kind of thing. And I don't think that helps the situation, you know? But I applaud her honesty too. That must have been so hard. And to know she was saying that on camera, that other people were going to hear that, but
And
she wanted
that
her.
has really built
Yeah.
a really strong foundation for them to start with, that honesty
Exactly.
and that forthrightness.
Yep.
At least it would be for me. And,
Yeah.
you know, and I just think they're going to have an awesome relationship.
Right. And she, you know, I can't remember how long she said that she's been sober now, but
She said
they can be
she didn't
part
say how long, she just said for a long
for a
time.
while. Yeah. So they can be part of helping her with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, I
good luck.
wonder if Mitchell had prepared himself for that being the story.
Mm.
But because he seemed to have made up his mind before she even said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, she barely got the words out, and it wasn't like he had to digest it.
Yeah.
But he had a mission of putting his family back together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And could it have been he got that piece of information from another family member?
Yeah, could be
off camera that we don't know about. He already knew, maybe.
Could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very possible.
But yeah, I really did feel so good with where their story ended up.
Mm-hmm. And but where did it end up, Laura? What happened after that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, for one
there
thing,
was more to the story. It didn't end there.
Oh, because that dang doorbell.
Well, did they get a text?
I think they got yet another text saying, wait a minute.
They got a text.
Yeah.
We couldn't resist one more surprise.
Yeah.
And the sisters, and I tried to write their names
all
down.
of them. Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, all three of his sisters came in, and his sisters also had the thrill, or whatever you want to describe it, the experience of meeting their mother again after all those years.
And then they all fell on the floor again.
Oh, on the floor
my
again.
God.
On the floor again.
They were just grabbing onto each other.
They were.
Oh.
And then Mitchell got in there, and you know.
Yeah, just like they were.
I mean, Mitchell was really prepared for this journey and stuff for 30 years, and who knows how long the sisters got a phone call like, do you want to come?
So another beautiful family reunion, you know,
but
on day 9.
So applaud Relative Race for letting us see the family experience and not just Mitchell's.
Yes.
Because we got to see the completeness of it. And a lot of times we're ended up with kind of a fragmented story that we have to go back and look at notes and stuff like that to put it together. But for Mitchell, we got it with a nice bow.
Yeah.
And,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, you know, you think about some of the other contestants or whatever. They all, I don't know, his story was just to me so unique because he had himself and 3 sisters. And they told the story of them being in the courtroom and being torn apart from each other, and you know, the dramaticness of it. And it was almost like we had to hear and see.
We had to see them back together.
We had to see that.
We had to.
Yeah,
because you know, we're GenFriends. We reach out to them and we get to talk to people and we get to maybe find but most people who watch Relative Race don't get that. And so I think it's fantastic that Relative Race is starting to show those things.
Yeah. And I imagine that all of those kids had PTSD from that dramatic separation.
You know, one of his sisters, I was watching his face and I don't know which one. The girl who had her hair pulled back. Anyway, she I think she, out of all of them, was having the most trouble, if she was having trouble. Believing. I think she, to look at her face, it was almost like she was like, I can't believe, is this my mom? Is it really her? She had that look on her face, like kind of like deer in the headlights, like, really, is this really her? Because I can't imagine the traumatic experience of being torn away from your mother.
Yeah.
At such a young age.
And especially in the way that
Oh, yeah.
happened in the courtroom, and they
Yeah.
weren't prepared for it, and how they describe it as them falling on the floor holding each other in
Yeah.
that courtroom, So it's just interesting to me, because just to throw it out, in the cases that I've been involved in, the kids are there briefly just for a few minutes, and then when everything else is going on, decisions are made, they weren't in the room. They were not in the room. That did not happen. They were not, you know what I'm saying? And so it just makes me, it just
Mitchell
makes me so sad.
Well, Mitchell talked about his mom coming
Mhm.
they would meet, I guess, at the courtroom, but they would meet for visitation somewhere.
Yes,
And then all of a
absolutely.
sudden she stopped coming. She just stopped
Right.
coming. And that's when she admitted to what she admitted to.
Right. Yeah.
But, as a child, I mean, it's difficult to put your mind in a child's mind, but you think, well, my
Mhm.
mom's coming to see us, my mom, and then she just doesn't
And then
forever.
she
You're
doesn't.
just
Right.
like, that could be so traumatic. I can't
So
imagine.
traumatic, especially
Yeah.
without some therapy and some love. They were adopted. I hope that I mean, they've not really talked about that part of their story, but I hope that was good for them, and of course
once or twice has said it wasn't that great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's
Who knows what that means.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So
I think most adoptees, and Cheri, you can probably talk to this, experience trauma. But I would think it's if you're adopted at 6 weeks or 6 months, as opposed to like Mitchell, who was 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah.
That'd be very different.
You've already lived 8 or 9 years of your life.
Exactly.
You know your mom, and he can remember her name, and so there is a difference there.
There is a difference, and so we've
yeah.
had we've had a little bit of both of our adoptive kids. Some have been older, and some have been just babies, and so yeah. So it's difficult. It's difficult. So, but I'm just grateful for their story, and I'm grateful that we got to see that. I'm grateful that he was able to, that Relative Race pulled it off. They were yeah. And it wasn't one of those, well, we found, but we couldn't find your mom, or we found this person and we couldn't, or she doesn't want to come on. I'm glad that all worked out for us.
Yeah. we needed that.
I'm glad for us that we got to see that joy, that pure joy. How often do you just see pure joy coming out of your computer screen or your TV screen, your phone, wherever you watch Relative Race on? How often do you see pure joy the way that we get to see pure joy so many times on Relative Race throughout the seasons? Absolute pure joy as families are reconnected together. So kudos to another great season, and we still have to get to day 10, but we've got the relatives.
So who's going to day 10?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're all being all happy, and then of course we get back to the scene, and I'm like, Dan, I love you, Dan, but we're having all these warm fuzzy moments. And then there we go, back to reality, where they've got to do the results. So, and we're all scared because we know somebody could go home, and we've got to remember something too. At the very first show, what did Dan tell them they needed to be paying attention to if they want to do well on day 10?
They needed to be paying attention to their meets at the end of the day.
Yes.
And take notes, because it's going to come in handy on day 10.
Yep. So, I mean, they only showed us so far one person that we know who took notes. Yeah. And that was Lizzie. She held up her notes.
Yeah.
I don't think any of the rest of them are taking notes. And so
it
it's
didn't
going to be
seem that
interesting.
way.
It didn't seem that way. Maybe they just think that they can remember. So who wants to go over results? Anybody want to take on that?
I think we should just blurt it out and say
Team Black got first. So they're going to day 10.
Yes.
Team Green got second.
Yep.
So they're going to day 10.
Yep.
Team Red got third, which they were already going to 10.
They were already going anyway.
Yes. And so Team Blue had to go home.
Yeah,
and it was
just rip the Band-Aid
it was
off.
the shortcut that did them in.
It was.
It was a shortcut that in the end did them in. But you know what? As sad as they were, they got what they wanted out of the show.
Yes.
Yes.
I can't imagine he cared after that day.
No. No.
Yeah, and he said at the time of the thing, it's a gamble, and if it doesn't work, so be it. I mean, he seemed at peace with the fact that it was a gamble.
Yeah, and he found who he was looking for. Not every team, not every person coming on the race in any season finds exactly who they were looking for. And he found exactly who he was looking for. So he's at peace with that, Yeah. Of course, $50,000 would have been a little icing on the cake, but he found who he was looking for. So, we go into day 10 with 3 teams, which is always fun. And they're going to Chicago. So I'm wondering what on earth they're going to put them through in Chicago, right? Especially knowing that they had to take notes. So I wonder.
So I see a trivia game in our future.
Maybe a trivia game. Yeah.
It looked like it was cold and when they filmed in Wisconsin. So Chicago's probably going to be cold as well.
Probably.
And don't forget, Team Black got the last mystery prize.
That's
it
right.
wasn't an advantage. It was actually a prize. And they're going to have a canvas print made of their family members or themselves or something like that.
Beautiful. What a beautiful gift.
Cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
What a beautiful, beautiful gift. And every year I hope that maybe they'll bring that team or teams that didn't make it all the way just to come back to cheer them on. And sometimes they have, sometimes family members come on, and that kind of thing. So I think it would be really nice if somehow, they've already filmed it, so they don't care what we think right now, but wouldn't it be great if those teams
they would care if they weren't through filming?
I know, even if they cared. That's our idea. But I think the fans would like it if those teams that didn't make it to day 10 somehow had a role in day 10, whether it's helping them out with the game and they have had people come back before from other seasons. They've done that too. So that's been really fun to have teams come back from other seasons to help out, with the different games. So who knows what kind of craziness they've come up with for day 10 for season 12, but we will know in a week what's going on. And I just wanted to let our viewers, we have got such dedicated people who watch our Gen Friends as we talk about relative race, know that we are working on getting our annual traditional, I shouldn't say annual because it's twice a year. So
our biannual?
Our traditional end of the show, day 10 season reunion. But it's going to be probably a week later then, so it won't be right after day 10 because it's Thanksgiving week and nobody's available.
Nobody will come.
We won't even come. So we're trying to get it together. So to get it all together the week after Thanksgiving and get it recorded and out to you so we can ask all the questions of the teams. But we have asked before, and you guys have been really good about what if we can get it together and get the teams on and they'll come, what questions do you want us to ask? Because there's something you want us to ask. So put it in the comments after you watch us, put it in the comments and let us know what kind of questions you would like for us to ask each team. So, and we'll kind of go through them and look at them, and we'll be careful because they might not want to be asked certain questions. So be mindful of that. But I think it'd be really fun if y'all would send in your questions, and we will look at those and ask them if we can get them on, which we hope we can. So with that, is there anything else you guys wanted to mention about day 9? I'm so thankful that each of you are here. And
I just want to thank everybody who watches us when we do Gen Friends, and be sure to subscribe to our channel and to hit that like button because that helps our channel. So, and
leave comments. And leave comments.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Leave comments. We love it when you leave comments. And sometimes I'm slow getting back to them, but I try. So I try to get back in there, especially if somebody asks a question of a specific person. I try to say, hey, we've got a question on there about a specific thing. So how do you want me to answer? or you head over there and go answer it for them. So, but we love your comments. So I want to see lots of questions. I think that would be really fun. So thanks for hanging with us. Thanks for watching GenFriends as we go through and unpack each of the days throughout this season 12, and we will see you next time for day 10 and
hopefully
a team reunion. So we'll see you soon. Thanks everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.